Jesse is over in the background cutting up some celeriac root. We let that be in the fridge a bit long, so she's spending some time cutting all the brown bits out, and I'll be working on the other things. Oops, I forgot to grab the peeler out. Where did all our peelers go?
You keep moving them to the other shelf.
So, the basis for a good meatloaf is that you want a cup of non-meat for every pound of meat that you have. We're going to be using celeriac, some yellow pepper, a watermelon radish, and some dates. And then also whole wheat saltines for the breadcrumbs. So I'm going to start by prepping the radish, which will also require, now that I think about it, a grater.
We have found that grating the vegetables is the best way to get them into your meatloaf in a non-slap-you-in-the-face with vegetableness way.
Yeah, you definitely get a much more even distribution on your vegetables. You get a much more even distribution on your vegetables if you get them into tiny pieces to start with. And since I'm not the biggest fan of vegetables, that's super helpful. You can hide the healthiness under other things. There we go. Set that down for a second. Watermelon radishes are kind of nice. They're bright red on the inside and white or green on the outside, and pretty mild as far as radish taste goes. You'll also want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. I haven't turned on the oven yet since both of us are working in the kitchen. I'm using the oven as a work surface. Good enough. So there's the radish all done up. It's good to wash off your hands right away after cutting up a watermelon radish, or they tend to get a little stained. Going to dice up a pepper real fast. And by dice, I suppose I mean mince. In the past, I haven't cared quite so much about using the right words, but if people are going to be following along, words matter a lot more. I'm also probably using the wrong knife to do this, but
yeah, but that's an easy one to grab. We've got lots of them.
Yeah, didn't feel like getting another one dirty. It's the nice thing about the Cutco table knives. They really do work for just about anything.
on if you're careful with it.
Yeah, it don't always work the best, but they get the job done. You okay over there?
Luckily, when I slip with the table knives, it tends to cut my fingernails before my finger.
That's good. No bleeding on the camera.
No bleeding in the food.
Yes, no bleeding in the food. Although, if memory serves you correct, it was making a meatloaf the last time you cut yourself.
The worst time I cut myself, yes, it was making a meatloaf. I was chopping peppers, which made it an even more unfortunate cut with the petite santoku. And took a chunk out of the pad of my finger.
Yup. This is going to be a very colorful meatloaf.
And that's a good meatloaf.
Yeah, colorful meatloaf is good meatloaf. Now, we like to put dates in the meatloaf because, one, they make the meatloaf delicious, and two, they tend to cover up the taste of just about anything else that you put into it. Which,
they don't cover it, they enhance it.
well,
Mainly, they make a nice, sweet caramelization effect throughout the meatloaf, which helps unify everything.
well, I say that they make the vegetables a lot more manageable. They also make your meatloaf sound a lot fancier. Ooh, it has dates. How exotic. The dates definitely have to be minced with a knife. If you try to run them through a grind or a grater
or
a food processor, it goes very poorly.
It gums up the stuff.
Yeah, they turn into a paste very quickly. Okay, I am going to start preheating the oven at this point.
Yep.
So I'm just about done using the oven as a work surface. Okay. Let's see here. How much garam masala should I do?
Just like a tablespoon.
Okay. Garam masala is a spice blend that we really enjoy. It really punches up a dish without a lot of effort. You can get it at Mediterranean markets?
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, generally you can get it in large quantities at Mediterranean markets. And we would highly, highly recommend it.
That is the White Ritz Rescue.
Okay. Are you good with that size-wise for
Yeah.
you being in there? Okay. That. Here, I'll get that back to you. Then crush up some saltines as the breadcrumbs for this. Using whole wheat saltines because that's what we bought last time. With how much other stuff we have in there, we're probably going to want at least 3/4 of a cup of crushed saltines. This meatloaf is going to end up being a little bit heavy on the stuff to meat ratio, but
that's all right.
It's all right. It should still work. I'm making a bit of a mess with these saltines. I apologize.
Well, here. Let's fix that.
Well, I don't need all of them. I only need like 1 or 2 more. Yeah.
But it's so much fun to crush them in the package.
Yeah, well, it's fun, but it's not the right thing to do. Yeah, I need like 1 or 2 more. Oop. Okay, that one will be enough. Okay. Do that. Okay. Are you up for mixing it? Do you want to take off your ring first?
Yes. And I washed my hands. So I mix these because Matt's squeamish about this. I don't care that it, squishing your hands through stuff.
I can do it if I have to. It's just-
I know. It's just, I don't mind it, so I do it.
Yeah. So, you've got a bit over 2 pounds of meat going in, along with a glug of soy milk and 2 eggs.
The eggs are what binds it all together.
Do you want to break it up a bit
Yes.
before I...
Break up the meat before you start mixing it, because you really don't want to mix it for very long. It makes it kind of tough and weird. You just want to mix it enough to combine everything, and it's a lot easier to combine everything when the meat is already stranded out instead of a giant clump.
Okay.
Look.
Glug.
Can you roll this up a little more?
Yes.
Stay.
Is that better?
I also need the bowl to be held still.
Oh, yes.
Rolling around on me.
Is that better?
The idea is just to get the not meat stuff distributed evenly through the meat stuff.
If you work it too hard, it definitely becomes chewier. Okay.
Got the roasting pan out.
Got the roasting pan out.
It does not have to be a perfect loaf shape. All you gotta do.
Just have something kind of reminiscent of a loaf, at least.
And not super thick in the middle compared to the ends.
Yes.
So a little bit of
You
forming.
definitely want it to be a rectangle.
Yes.
Or-
Because otherwise it will not cook even. There you go.
Awesome. So that's going to go in the oven for... How long does it go in the oven for? Between...
An hour and a half?
an hour, well, between 1 to 2 hours, depending on the size of the meatloaf. Generally, I start checking it at an hour. You want an internal temperature of 165 for it to actually be considered done, which is what we do. I'm not going to say that you couldn't do it for longer or shorter than that, but that's the minimum recommended temperature. So we're going to get that into the oven in just a moment, and we hope that you had fun joining us for this.